already on it. All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back. If you are here for a second time, let me make sure I'm sharing my screen. I am not. I am now. Everyone can see my screen now. Yes.
Yep. Sneak
All
peek.
right. Outstanding. Okay. So if you are returning from last week, welcome back. If this is the first time that you've been here with us, well, welcome. We're excited to have you here. For those of you that are new here, we're going to do a quick overview of what is Infiniscope, just making sure that you know who we are, what we do. So those of you who were here last week, this will be your third time hearing it. You guys will be able to do this for us. Come to NSTA. We'll have you stand at a booth. You can talk all about Infiniscope. It'll be great. So anyway, so we're going to talk today about creating adaptive digital lessons. And so we have been working very hard over the last 6 months to create a new tool that takes the new adaptive platform that we've created since we've lost Smart Sparrow. So those of you who have been around for a while may be familiar with our old authoring tool called Smart Sparrow. We came off of Smart Sparrow at the very beginning of 2020 and began building our own digital learning platform.
Is she frozen for everyone?
I'm pausing now.
No, I can hear
Okay,
and
I
see.
am in. I'm hearing. Yes.
Okay, sorry, that was me.
that's okay. Anyway, so we developed our own digital learning platform, and the one that we built out of the gate was something that our learning designers here could use to create these high-level, engaging, and immersive digital learning experiences. And so what we're working on right now is creating a more simplified version that's more accessible for our teachers that are in the classroom. So you don't need to have any skills in the logic and computer science world in order to create your own digital lessons. So I've got a sneak peek prepared for you all. But for those who are not familiar with Infiniscope and who we are and what we do, well, we are a digital teaching network. And so as a digital teaching network, what we do is we design these NGS, designed and aligned, interactive and adaptive lessons. So the key words there are interactive and adaptive. Many of you are probably familiar with interactive. You experience interactive routinely through simulations that you find on the internet or simulations that you might have subscriptions to. PhET is a good example of interactives. But what we do is we level up an interactive and we make them adaptive. What that means is that we can kind of build what's called a choose your own adventure style sort of learning experience. So whether a student is provided agency to make some choices about the way they want to go through a learning experience, or if we're forcing them down different pathways based on knowledge gaps, misconceptions, or even if they're just, beyond what we're teaching them in the classroom, we can level up for them. We can provide these adaptive paths to be able to customize the experience. I like to call this it creates great capacity for us as educators in the classroom. Because as you know, if you have 35 students that are in your class, each one comes with different skill sets and different misconceptions and different knowledge gaps. And you are but one person to try to resolve all of those issues and get everybody on the same playing field. So an adaptive platform enables you to do this, to increase your capacity. What we do is also provide our technology platform to our educators. So that's why you're going to see a sneak peek today, because we're providing our technology platform to you to create your own digital learning experiences. Ultimately, we're trying to catalyze creators, not just consumers of the products that we create. And then finally, we also provide training to all of our educators on the effective use of these types of digital tools and in place-based learning experiences. So we'll talk a little bit about training opportunities that are available this summer for all the tools that we have available. Whoops, let me go back one. Whoop, too fast. And ultimately is our goal to transform learning to embrace exploration of the unknown and at scale. And that's ultimately why we've chosen to go digital, is because digital allows us to be able to expand the universe and the unknown at scale. And we use what's called the exploration learning loop. Many of you will not be surprised by the learning loop, but I'm going to walk you through it. So what we do is we design learning experiences that engage curiosity. We want to pique a learner's curiosity to drive them to do some form of exploration. They'll make some sort of discovery. And as you know, in all good science, that often leads to further curiosity, more questions to investigate. What we in the classroom call the 5E inquiry model. But here in the ETX Center, so we are based out of Arizona State University in the Education Through Exploration group. What we do is build everything around this exploration learning loop. Regardless of the project that we're working on, this is the foundation of what we build. Okay, so now that you have an understanding of who we are and what we do, we're going to test out something I'm taking to NSTA this week, sorry. And I'm going to have you guys go through a little experience. So grab your phone if you have it. I just realized I did not prepare by not having the link available for those who don't have their phone available. Let me grab that. I'm going to have you guys scan that QR code. And if you scan the QR code, you're going to get something that looks a little like this. She says there, got to get just the right. There we go. You're going to get a page just like this. What you are going to select is I am not a robot, because I know you're not a robot. And then you're going to click enroll as a guest. And that is going to take you to the lesson. So let me get a link here. Sina, I'm going to share it with you in chat, just in case those on the line, or I'm going to share it with you in Slack. If you could share it out, that would be great. Oh, there it is. All right. Is there anyone who is not in? I'm going to turn off my background real quick. Make it easier for you guys to see what's going on. Susan, are you not in?
No, I'm slow at all this. I'm
Okay,
a remedial learner.
that's okay. Are you on this page?
I did sign in as a guest and now it's saying create a learner educator account.
You should not need, you don't need to create an account.
All right, let me.
You just close out that page, that little pop-up. If you close out the
Okay.
pop-up, then you'll see this.
I was gonna say, click on maybe later.
Yep, that's the one.
Okay.
Okay, and if you click on maybe later, you'll have this little, it says new adaptive page, even though I thought I changed the name of it. It'll say new adaptive page. You're going to click on that new adaptive page. And then you should get a page that says, let's talk about differentiation.
Is anyone else noticing it doesn't seem ideally scaled for a phone?
You need to rotate.
I did.
Oh,
This
Yeah.
is Wendy. Is there any way to share this kind of content through Zoom? Because my phone never got the prompt to allow me not to do all the fill out. And I'm still struggling to get in. It won't let me come in even through Gmail. So,
yep. I think Sina dropped the link over in chat. So you
okay,
can-
I'll give that a try.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're right. It's not showing up on my phone greatly. Good to know. I'll be changing that. See, had to test this out live to see what's going to happen on Saturday, Friday. Once you're into this lesson, just follow the instructions on screen. That's all I ask. So on your computer, it should look like this. I assume you guys are still able to see my screen. Okay. And then once you are done, give me a thumbs up. Okay. How many folks am I waiting on? Let's see. Okay, I got Richard. Good. Great. Give you guys one more minute to roll through there. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next screen here, our next page. So I'm going to, first off, before I show you my next page, make sure we all know how to use the annotate. And I'm hoping you guys can see it here. So you're going to go up to your little Zoom bar. You're going to click this little pencil for annotate. I'm going to have you click stamp and then drop a stamp anywhere on the screen. And then I want you to undo it here with number 3. All right, Leon's in, you're ASU, so I expect that. Oh, good. Wendy's there. Cool. Wendy, try to use the little stamp. All right, Richard, Sarah, great, great. Outstanding. Love it. Awesome. Okay. Just waiting on a couple more, I think.
Some people need help finding the annotate tool.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for referring me to chat. Annotate. So you should have your Zoom bar.
You might have to click view options to see the annotate.
Thank you. There we go. Okay, I think we got a few more people now. Rurik, did you get it?
I just found the annotate and now I don't, oh, there's the stamp.
Yep, stamp. All righty. And then if you will, anyone who still has items up on screen, if you will undo to remove yours. And then I'm going to go ahead and click next. And so this is going to relate. So each one of you experienced something different. So please use the annotate tool and drop an item, a heart, a star, a check mark on whichever one of these images you found. in your experience? Leave them there, don't undo them. Ooh, we got a lot of space cats. Space cats. Okay, so what you all chose, whatever your answer was to the previous question, is what brought you to your image. So this is an example of student agency. Who drew the sunglasses on the sun? I have a suspicion. But anyway, all right. So this is a really good way to visualize how that differentiation works. But furthermore, I'm wondering if anyone actually saw the dad joke. Oh no, hold on, let me go back. Everybody clear your things. Undo, undo, undo. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, you guys are just the best students. Okay, I have just one more star left, but we will survive. Okay, now how many of you saw the dad joke?
I did.
Okay, there's one. Anyone else? And Richard, what was your response that brought you to the dad joke?
I input the word NASA and the
Oh.
feedback gave me the dad joke.
Oh, that one should have been after NASA. But before you got to that, what was the other question? When you had to select what type of differentiation you use in the classroom, what did you select?
Oh, I used other.
Other.
'Cause none of the above really applies to me.
None of the, yes, exactly. And so what I did was I created what's called an adaptive pathway for people who don't have that experience to have a different experience in the lesson. So this is the power of the digital tool. This is just a really quick example of the digital tool. So now that you have a sense of what the tool does, can we clear all the annotations? How do we do that? There we go. Pretty good. Okay. What I'm going to do is share with you a video. This video is what's called a wireframe. So in development, we will wireframe up what we want the functionality to be for whatever the new digital tool is. And then the next layer is going to be adding in design. So don't look at this as far as design goes. What you're really looking at is like functionality and the intuitiveness of kind of the layout. So there'll be colors and styling and all sorts of things that are applied later. So color doesn't apply now, and fanciness. We're really just looking at the functionality. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this video. It's about an 11-minute video, but I'm going to stop at very punctuated points. And during that time, I'm going to have you all answering questions in this survey. So I want you to have this survey open, and we're going to kind of do this as I'll share a piece, I'll have you answer the question. I'll share a piece, I'll have you answer the question. So in good teacher fashion, let me open the link myself. All right. Are you all able to see my screen here? Okay, so the first question that I'm going to ask you, I'm going to stop the video, is how intuitive do you find the organization of the major components in the tool? All right, so now I'm going to show you the video. Maybe. Oh, why was I not doing it the way I want it to? Lame. Are you guys still full screen? Do you see the presentation full screen?
No.
Oh. I mean, I can't go back and forth on things.
You see the gallery again. The share stopped on you.
All right, there we go.
Now I see that. Yeah.
Okay. Let me make sure I'm sharing with my audio. Share computer sound. All right, here we go.
Welcome to the new simplified version of Authoring tool. In this video, I will show you how the teacher will be able to build a lesson paths and design individual screens. Let's start from the beginning. In the proposed version, we want the user experience to start as early as possible.
The audio
with the
is really
selection of the
quiet,
tool.
Jess.
At the moment,
And
get
somebody's
that.
asked for
onboarding
closed
proposal
captioning if
and
we
it
have
will be
it.
discussed.
Thank
At the
you.
beginning, the user is asked to enter the title of the lesson and then select the version of the tool where he has two options, Advanced and Simplified. Advanced is basically old tool which allows user to build complex lesson, and Basic is the new version that allows us to build lessons without knowing of CSS. When they select Basic Authoring, they will have to select the format of the lesson that they want to build. At the moment we are focusing on the landscape version, but other formats may appear here in the future. When we choose a given format, we enter the simplified version of Authoring tool. The user starts his work from the initial screen, which is the screen panel. This part of the interface is used by the user to create screens, add content, and the question to them. From the screen panel, user can shape mainly the visual side of the lesson. On the left bar, we have a preview list of screens in our lesson. The top bar allows us to undo and redo our action in this panel. From here, we can also add the static components, such as text, image, video, carousel, or music. We call them static because they do not require additional setting of logical transition. And also from here we can add question components. This in turn requires settings logical transition, and I will explain it later in the flowchart. Here we also have a preview and the scoring option. On the right bar we have global settings for the lesson, settings for the selected screen, and also the settings for the certain component that we choose. Let's take a look at lesson properties. Here we have the option to change the title of the lesson, information about the orientation, final message, and the option to go from this place to advanced authoring with annotation that we will work on the copy of this project. Then we have screen properties, which refer to the screen we are currently working on. Here we have a similar set of settings as before, with the change that from here we can change the template for a given screen. We have shown here all the layouts for a no question screen. When we choose a template, we have a confirmation window if we are sure, because changing the layout involves losing the existing content. By clicking Replace, we got freshly new layout on our screen. Now let's add new screen.
We're going to pause there. And so we're going to go back to our survey. She says. And so the first question is, how intuitive do you find the organization of the major components? So when I'm talking major components, I'm saying that left panel, the center panel, and then the right panel. So the right panel is the thing that has the lesson, the screen, and the components. And then if you have more to say about that, there's a space for you below. And from here, we actually did cover the next section, so I can replay it, or you think you can answer it now. How intuitive are the lesson, screen, and component panels? How many of you would like me to replay that section? Paula, does that mean you're good? Give a clap. Love it. You raise your hand. Okay. All right, I'm going to replay that little segment there about the 3 panels for you. What? I gotta find it again. See, okay, here we go.
Take a look at lesson properties. Here we have the option to change the title of the lesson, information about the orientation, final message, and the option to go from this place to advanced authoring with annotation that we will work on the copy of this project. Then we have screen properties, which refer to the screen we are currently working on. Here we have a similar set of settings as before, with the change that from here we can change the template for a given screen. We have shown here all the layouts for no question screen. When we choose a template, we have a confirmation window if we are sure, because changing the layout involves losing the existing content. By clicking replace, we got freshly new layout on our screen. Now let's add new screen. We can do this from this level into 2 ways, with the assumption that the screen will always be added at the end.
Okay, I'm gonna pause there for that second question. How intuitive are the lesson, screen, and component panels? And then a follow-up. And then we also covered how intuitive, the next question, how intuitive is the use of screen templates? And then give me a thumbs up once you have caught up with the feedback thus far. Okay, that's about half of you. Okay.
Excuse me, what
Yeah.
wireframe product is this?
So this is the simplified adaptive platform.
Simplified adaptive platform.
Yeah. There's a lot of different names for it. It doesn't have an official name yet, but it's what it does.
You mean running it through your portal? Is that what you mean?
We do host it. Yes.
I'm trying to look for it out on the World Wide Web to check its ADA compliance.
Ah, that's a great question.
Because if I can't have it compliant, I can't use the tool at all. And
Yep.
that's what I need to know.
And it is. I can get you the documentation. I just need to dig around a little bit.
That's fine. It doesn't have to be instantaneous, but ultimately I do need to tunnel into it. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. All right, any others that have completed the survey thus far? So we should be through question number 1, 2, 3, and awaiting 4. So we're going to do 4 and 5 in this next segment. So you're going to see an example of how we can use the tool to create a multiple choice question and options and correct and incorrect. And then you're also going to see a little segment about adding screens. So where you can add new screens into the lesson itself. There we go.
The end of our path. The first option is to click on the plus sign, and the second is the last option on the list. So we click and a window opens in which we gave a title for our screen and select the type of this screen. This will be either blank screen or a screen with one of the questions selected here. Let's name this screen Introduction to Geology and select the blank screen. Right now we see the list of the templates which are available for a blank screen. We select the one and right now we have this new screen created. Now let's move on to the next method of adding screens and the place where the lesson is actually created. The screens are combined there into paths and provided with the transition rules. All this happens in the flowchart bar. From the screen panel level, we have information that if we want to change the order of the screens, we can do it only from the flowchart level. Thanks to this, we will avoid the user errors that would disconnect the previously created logic. When we switch to the flowchart view, we will see that the screens we built earlier are already set in the path. Now let's take a look at adding screens from this level. The entire path building is based on the drag and drop mechanism, where we select the type of the screen from the top bar and drag it to the selected place. Here I have to make a quick note about the presented prototype because Figma limits me technically and I can't fully show the dragging and dropping preview, so I will be clicking on the video. Let's go with the scenario that I want to add a question that will have 2 paths, one for those who answered incorrectly and the other for those who answered correctly. So how I can build them? I drag the multi-choice question and drop it at the end of the path. We've added the question. Now we need a path for the wrong answer, so we repeat the action. We can see that adding new screen is very simple and fast. But now we need a second path to come out of our question screen for correct answer. So I drag the selected screen from above again, and this time I drop it on the screen from which the new path leading to the screen should come out. And we have built 2 paths, as we can see. To sum up, we have 3 ways to add screens to the flowchart. The first, at the end of the path, the second, between screens, and the third, when we drop a screen on a screen and create a new path. Now let's take a look at the added screens. Some of them are marked in yellow and provided with the description that this screen has not been validated. From these screens, there are also dashed lines on our flowchart.
I'm gonna pause there. I feel like I missed the multiple choice question component. What we just covered here is about the question about which is more intuitive for adding screens. Clicking plus, drag and drop, or add screen from list. And then a space for you to expand. So right now the question about the multiple choice editor is probably blank. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if you've completed that question. All right, we're going to move into the section that is validation. So this will be how helpful is screen validation to identify broken rule settings. And then we'll go back to multiple choice because we must have missed it, or I missed it.
And some of the screens are green and connected by a solid line. Now let's take a closer look at this situation. When we select a given screen, we see the actions that we can perform from this place, such as screen editing, then we will be transferred to the screen panel view, duplication, and the screen removal. On the right sidebar, from where we build the transition logic, we can see hints why our screen is not validated and what must happen to make it green. Let's have a look. We have a message here about missing component settings. Due to the fact that we have chosen the screen on which the question is located, this question determines the further path for the students, depending on whether he answered correctly or not. For the logic to work properly, we need to set up the correct answer in the question components, and as you can see, we can do it from the screen panel level because all of the component settings are also there. In the next step, we'll complete this information. Let's see the next notification here. Outgoing paths are not defined. And here we have listed screens to which no transition rules are set. That means we need to set the rules for correct and incorrect answer. Let's take a look at the notifications on the next screen. Again, we can perform similar actions here, but this time on the left sidebar we have information that no defined paths leads to the screen and there's no path exits from the screen, which will end the lesson here. We will need to set the missing connections to the screen later. As we can see, in this case there is no information about missing component settings because there is no question on the screen. Let's check how the situation looks in the case of green screens. They are automatically validated in green because they are blank screens, there's no question component there, and they do not require complex logic to be set, so to improve the workflow for the teacher, they connect to each other immediately after adding to the flowchart. They are added also on the rule of when the answer is correct or there is no question, always go to, and we have the next screen from the path attached. The screens are therefore connected by a solid line. And as we see in the case of the next screen, we have the same rule attached. So let's move on. Let's connect the whole lesson. I click on the screen with the question, and this time I want to complete the missing information in the component. We go to the panel screen. On the left, we see a simple list of our screen reflecting the number of screens in the flowchart, but it's not a mapping of a paths. It's supposed to help you click through while designing on content comparison screens and stay in the creative context where we visually design one screen after another. When we switch to the screen panel from the screen that were created on the flowchart for the first time, we can select the layout to the screen or skip this action. The shown set of layouts is dedicated to the screens containing the multi-choice question. We select one of them and proceed to editing the screen. Here we see our screen with select.
Aha, multiple choice question is last. We didn't miss it. Yay. Okay, but we have covered how helpful is screen validation to identify broken rules. So the rules are the things that help you navigate a student path through the experience. And remember, color doesn't matter here. They will be ADA compliant in the design. We're just looking at functionality. So how helpful is screen validation? And then anything else to explain your answer. Sarah's ahead of the game here. She's already thrown a thumbs up. Thank you. Why don't you give me a thumbs down if you finished? Let's just mix it up. All right, I'll take a fist bump, Sarah. That's fine. All right, just waiting on a couple more, and then we will finish strong with a multiple choice question. All right. Loving the variety of emoji responses now. Getting the party going. Okay, last piece. Here we go.
Selected component. From here, we can also see available settings such as question label, answer variants, correct answer settings, and answer feedback. Let's imagine that the teacher completed the materials on the screen and the information in the component. So right now our question is which of the planets below have a gaseous structure. We have set the answers like Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, and now we want to set the correct answer. We know that the two of the planets above match the answer, so we tick the multiple choice. And then we choose which of the choices the system considers the correct answer. From here we can also set advanced feedback that will be displayed for the specific answers. In the top bar we also have the option of adding question components blocked, because in this version of the authoring tool we assume one question per screen to avoid errors when creating complicated conditioning for more than one question on screen. So, however, the user, if necessary, has the option to adding the text box or other elements. I assume our screen is ready, so I go back to the flowchart view, and now I see that the only thing missing from this screen is the logical rules for the two outgoing paths. So we set the first for the correct answer, so I choose when the answer is correct, then go to the screen, blank screen correct. I click done, and we have the first rule made, and the line between the screens is now solid. I set the same for the incorrect path, and we see that the screen with the question is validated green, and the connection to the next screen leads from it. Let's see the finished lesson. To sum up, from the flowchart level we can create paths and expand the levels of our lesson. We can add new screens, hub and spoke screens, remediation screens, and other paths. At the end of the lesson, we add an end screen, and the whole lesson is highlighted in green, ready to be visited by students. Thank you.
All right, so now you are down to your final question, which is the multiple choice question editor. And then once you have your final response in, go ahead and hit, is it submit or done at the bottom? I genuinely kind of wanted your raw feedback on how intuitive the things are. I know it's a little hard when you do it from a video because you can't get in and play with it, but we are still in the designing and the build phase of this thing. So if there's any feedback that you all have provided in here that will help kind of guide the design a little bit to make it a bit more intuitive for you, then we're going to be all ears for that. So that's really why we wanted to be able to spend time with you today, show you where we're going, what it looks like, and make sure you understand what the power of something like this, what this can do for you, because we want to make the tool as simple as possible because we want you to use it. We want to help you build these learning experiences that expand your capacity in the classroom. And so from here, we'll open the floor for questions, and I'll also drop the final survey about the session in chat. So this is your post-session survey. There's a survey for this particular session. Other than that, questions from the floor? Oh, back to chat. Over here.
So again, jumping ahead, thinking of me using this as a teacher, do you have any kind, and I don't know if you would yet or not, of like best practices for timing? I know my timing is always difficult. And, you know, I can see where if someone has lots of remediation versus someone who's not, I guess you just add a lot of extra to the one who gets everything correct.
Wait, I'm sorry, say that one more time.
So having never built something like this before, I would love to have a tips on how to do this so that my timing, like they all end up somewhat close to something at the end. Like I don't want one person spending 3 days in here and the other person zipping through in 20 minutes. And I have no concept of how to make that happen.
That part's a good question. I think a lot of that is ultimately trial and error, but we can, I mean, you have to think of it as you don't want to send students down an alternative pathway that's like a full day's worth of a lesson. You know, it's got to be kind of like a quick shot. So think in terms of like seasons, let's say. I don't know why that's the first thing that came to my mind, but sure, seasons. So in seasons, you know, if they forget what the arrangement of the Earth, Moon, Sun system is, you can do a quick review. Like that's an alternative pathway to be like, hey, remember, this is, you know, the arrangement of the Sun, Earth, Moon system. But it shouldn't be like a full on, like a full teach. That would be, okay, you need a whole new lesson just for that particular thing. Does that make sense, Laura?
Yes, it does. And I guess that's what I'm looking for are people who have designed things like this. If you have any kind of upfront tips for those of us who have never done something, I mean, or haven't really done this type of an adaptive lesson.
That's so funny. You should ask that, Laura, because guess what we're doing this summer? We're doing another workshop. So we've got a workshop on tour, and then we'll also have a workshop all around this particular tool. So I've got a beta test we're doing with the tool like mid-June with just a handful of teachers that have actually built in the prior platform to make sure everything works. Everything's working the way we want it to. So basically we need people to bang around on it. And then once we've done that, then we'll actually take it fully community-wide. And I think that training is in July. Is that correct, Sina?
I believe so.
I feel like I've written these dates about 100 times and I don't remember what it is. And then I know somebody else asked me about the video link, so let me grab that for you too. Copy link, okay. So if somebody wants to watch the video again, there is the YouTube video that I just presented. Yep, absolutely. Erin, that is a perfect example of a great way to use
July
the
8th.
platform.
I have July 18th through the 20th.
July 18th through the 20th. So mark your calendar there. Wendy has a great question for you, Sina. When do you anticipate the save the dates and or registration? Summer schedule is starting to fill already. Phew.
I anticipated it like 2 weeks ago. So I'm going to say it'll definitely be done by the end of next week.
There you go. And
Because
also-
because we've signed up for these sessions, will you send that out to that listserv?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or do I need to be searching for it?
Nope, I can
Okay.
send it out to everyone who registered.
Thanks for helping my brain and surely the others.
Not a problem at all. And then Erin talking about virtual tour platform. So a little hint here is that we are going to have a way for you to be able to build a virtual tour. So you could take Tour It training, create a virtual tour, and then come to the authoring training, and we'll teach you how to take your tour and put it into this platform. And then you can build a lesson around your tour. It's very meta. Yeah, I want to do that too, Jennifer. I've been waiting forever for this. I'm excited. There's also, if you were here when we did the Tour It thing last week, this statement will make a lot more sense to you. We said one of the upcoming changes to the Tour It tool is that it's gonna have a way for you to be able to control the tour. It's called CAPI if you're looking for an official term, but it's going to be enabled with these little hooks that allow you to be able to kind of track whether a student has looked at a particular location, or you can like turn certain locations on or turn certain locations off. So it'll give you a little bit of control when it comes to using the tour in your learning experience. So those are changes that are coming to Tour It in the fall. And that's going to be really fun. I'm excited for that change. Yeah. All right. Other questions you might have?
Does it provide a timer? Because I sometimes do activities like this, but on a very simple scale. And I provide them like a 30-minute time period where they can get it done. It's at their own time, anytime during the day, but they have to complete it in 30 minutes. Is there anything
Not in this simple tool. There is an option in the advanced tool. And down track, you'll be able to take a simple lesson and you'll be able to convert it into an advanced tool and start to apply other. This is just a smattering of the power of one of these adaptive platforms. We're simplifying it and distilling it down to the things that you as teachers traditionally will use, like right out of the gate. But you'll have the opportunity to take your lesson that you create in the simplified platform and convert it to something that's more advanced, and then use the full power of the advanced tool. The advanced tool is a lot less intuitive. I'm just going to be clear. It's complicated. And that's why we needed a simplified tool. But when people are ready, we're ready to provide training to help with those little things.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, well, we'll stay on the line for just a few more minutes. Don't forget to complete that survey for us. Otherwise, thank you so much for investing time with us today and sharing your raw feedback. I mean, for some of you who have never seen the adaptive platforms that we've used in the past, and even for those of you that are really new to Infiniscope and this is your first run at it, this is actually a really big deal for us to be able to provide this sort of tool. And I definitely, I mean, as a teacher, this excites me. I wish I had this when I was in the classroom. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all this summer and walking you through how to create your own digital lessons and or virtual field trips, or both. All the things. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. You all have a great evening. Thanks so much. Leon, what do you think before you hop off?
It seems pretty cool for like most of the stuff I would want to use this for. Like, I want to do stuff in Canvas just using quizzes, but that doesn't really provide, you know, those pathways and stuff. And so this seems like a pretty easy way to kind of punch up those Canvas quizzes and turn them more into lessons. Like, you know, I'm kind of treating Canvas quizzes as a lesson, but it's not really doing what I want. And so this seems like a really easy way for me to just bang out some lessons where I have kind of like the flow already. You know, I have an existing assignment and I just want to make it, you know, easier to grade and provide feedback real time on it. And so I think I would be able to convert some like paper lessons